At 146.985 on your FM dial, this is the 985 Workbench. I am Chuck, and my call is NA3CW, tonight's host for the Workbench. I'm located in beautiful Parksburg, Pennsylvania, under all the ice and snow. We meet every Monday at 8 p.m. on the W3GMS Parksburg repeater, 146.985 megahertz. The PL tone to access the repeater is 100 hertz. For those who use tone squelch on receive, the repeater transmits a squelch tone of 94.8 hertz. Newcomers are very, very welcome. We encourage all stations to check in. Take a look at the repeater website located at www.w3gmsrepeater.com. It has lots of information, including technical articles, pictures, repeater etiquette and history, and all kinds of good stuff. Please be aware that on occasion the repeater experiences intermod interference. Please run maximum power or be prepared to check in digitally through Echo Link or All-Star. We want to hear you. To be able to use Echo Link and All-Star on 985, you need to register with us. Directions for doing so can be found on the website, W3GMSrepeater.com. Also, an Intermod is present, and I think it is. Before starting a transmission, give a short call. Am I getting in okay? Once the host confirms that, then you can share your longer comments. Here on the Workbench, we focus on answering general questions of radio theory and operation. And additionally, we invite each station to briefly, like 1 minute, comment on your amateur radio activity in the past week. When checking in, please indicate if you have a question for the Workbench. If you don't have a question, still check in. After all stations have checked in, we will first share what we've done this past week in ham radio using the roundtable format. Please write down the call of the station that checks in right after you. When you've finished your comments, turn the mic over to that station. Once we've all made our comments, we will start the question and answer portion of the Workbench, operating as a directed net. I will call on the station that indicated having a question, and then for stations who wish to respond to that question. Please wait to be recognized by net control, me, before beginning a transmission. This helps us handle the questions efficiently and keep the net running smoothly. At times, it helps for two stations to pass the mic back and forth to help clarify the situation and pass information. Feel free to do that as needed, and then pass it back to net control. Some things to remember. Don't be too quick to talk. Pause a couple seconds before hitting the press to talk switch. It's good repeater etiquette, and the pauses are especially helpful to those on All-Star or Echo Link to get in edgeways. When you do click the push to talk button, wait a second before starting to talk. This includes when we're checking in, so we get the rest of your call. We don't want to miss what you're saying first. It takes a moment for the repeater to process your PL tone. Also, the repeater has a 3-minute timer. If you talk for more than 3 minutes without letting up on your mic button, the repeater completely shuts down until you release your push-to-talk switch. So every 2 or 3 minutes, release the mic button just for a moment, like this. Then you can continue. Before we begin, I want to say thanks to all of our Workbench hosts. They're the ones who make this happen. And if you happen to be interested in hosting the Workbench, please contact Jim, AF3Z, or any of us, and we'll help you get started. Lastly, please join Luke, W3, got that? W3SCY, this Thursday at 8 p.m. for the 985 Roundtable. So at this time, we're going to start the check-in process. Remember to indicate if you have a question for the group. So, digital stations using Echo Link or All-Star, I will leave long pauses to make it easier for you to check in, so everybody else, please be patient. Digital stations, please call now. This is NA3CW.
KN3I, no questions. Whiskey 8. Charlie Romeo Whiskey, CR, no question.
AC3, SQI, no questions.
Last call for any digital, Echolink, or All-Star stations. Please check in now. Alrighty then, let's go with RF and digital stations. Please call and spread them out a little bit. NA3CW.
Whiskey Alpha 3 Victor Echo Echo, WA3ZEE in beautiful Westchester.
AC3RFG, Jim in Malvern. No questions, Chuck.
That just tried to get in, you're not making it. So either run more power or something, or go on digital. Carry on, all stations.
E3, Mike Foxtrot Bravo, no question at the moment.
AC3OOK, question. W3KZG. Question.
W3GLI.
C3NZT, no question.
WA3K Fox Tango, WA3KFT, no question.
Okay, what I got is KN3I, W8CRW, and these are the orders that we'll rotate around in. KN3I, W8CRW, KC3SQI, WA3VEE, KC3RFG, and there was another station that wasn't able to get in over the Intermod. The Intermod will usually go away, so when it does, please call in at random. So followed by W3MFB, KC3OOK with a question, W3KZG, KA3GLI, KC3NZT, and WA3KFT. Do we have any other stations to check in? Please call now.
Just checking in.
KC3HQZ, checking in just to say hi, so I'm checking in and out. I wanted to say hello to everybody.
AA308, full time.
Gotcha, Gene. KC3HQZ. Always good to hear from you. And Leon, AA3LH. All right, then. So let's begin the roundtable session. How was your week in ham radio? And starting with John, KN3I, NA3CW.
This is KN3I. Good evening to everyone in this balmy evening. And thanks to Chuck for so it's a pretty good week. I think ham radio may have saved my sanity because it gave me a good distraction from the I don't know, the mind-numbing, body-numbing cold, the wind blowing through the house like as if the windows were wide open, and just kind of cringing, waiting for the power to go out and all that. So anyway, didn't happen, so got through it. And I kept telling myself this is the way it used to be when I was a kid here up in the Lehigh Valley during the winter. but my wife told me she didn't think so because she lived up in Stroudsburg, which is half hour north of where I grew up. Anyway, so I've been working on my boat anchors. I have an old Ranger. I've probably heard me say it 6 times on the repeater that I've been working on. And pulled up the old assembly manual because the Viking Ranger, Johnson Viking Ranger, circa, 1950s AM transmitter, was a kit. You could buy it as a kit, which is nice because now I have this, I could download this, these instructions on where to rewire things. So I did that and worked on a number of other little projects, an HR07 national receiver. We built the power supply, starting to go through it. It's a very nice unit. Heathkit ultrasonic cleaner, which I think I'm going to give up on. I was getting some help from the Bert W3GMS on parts. He basically told me I was kind of stuck on that one, and just a whole lot of other cool things here in the lab, so having a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn it over to W3GMS. This is KN3I.
Very good, John. Stay warm. Good evening, all. CR here. Thanks, Chuck, for taking the net tonight. And I've been very busy doing other things, so I haven't been on the radio much this past week. So with that, let's go to, who is it? Go to Wayne, KC3SQI, W8CRW.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the turning it over, W8CRW, CR. And this is KC3SQI. Not much in the way of radio. Doggies and ice are taking up more of my time than anything else, and since I can't get to the antenna mast right now to drop it to put the 10-meter antenna back together, and I really don't want to be climbing ladders in this weather, it's just going to have to wait for a while. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ron, WA3VEE, this is KC3SQI.
Very good, Wayne. Thank you very much. KC3SQI and the group WA3VEE over here in Westchester. Very good, very good. Chuck, of course, thanks for doing the net. Wonderful. Okay, I've been helping my old alma mater, the second alma mater, Drexel University, get their station back on the air, and it looks like that's going to go. So more on that coming up, but more opportunities to mentor and to guide and to provide help. So very fulfilling to do that. The old saying is, don't worry about being happy, worry about being fulfilled because happiness follows. A little philosophical stuff there. And boy, that is so true, especially in my case. Again, very nice to go back to the old school. Just kind of stood in the main hall for a few moments and just let it sink in. It's like, wow, that's cool. Especially good because there's no more grading. That's all over with, and that's the best part. Okay, so anyway, more stuff. Attended the Pottstown Area Amateur Radio Club meeting on Friday night. There was an interesting presentation on listening to Jupiter. Evidently, one of the most active moons, Io, the most active, volcanically active moon in the solar system, produces quite a bit of electromagnetic energy when there are eruptions, and that energy collides with the torus magnetic field around Jupiter and produces low-frequency RF signals. So that was quite an interesting presentation. Never would have known that. Okay, other stuff here very briefly. K3DTS is really starting to spin up, starting to get some interest in amateur radio licensing courses. I'm in the process of revising those. Corbin has contacted me. Some of the students at Drexel University will be doing a lot of this by Zoom. And so what I'm going to suggest is that anybody who is interested or knows anybody who is interested in getting licensed or upgrading. I'm also working on general here. So anybody's interested in new hams tech or upgrading to general, please email me, because once I get a list of critical mass of people and their email addresses, and I'm good on QRZ, then I will conduct these classes, probably starting within the next month, for sure this time. So, like I said, most of them will be done over Zoom because it's hard to align everybody at the same time. And also there will be enrichment stuff in there too as well. Saturday coming up, I'll be up at Pottstown again, actually Quakertown, with KE3AAR, the Education Alliance for Amateur Radio, run by the president of Pottstown Amateur Radio Club. We will be doing license instruction up there on Valentine's Day, and next Saturday, the 21st, actually be doing VEing. So, busy boy over here for sure. So, Jim, what's on your plate? KC3RFG over in Malvern, WA3VEE with the group.
Thank you, Ron. WA3VEE. This is Jim, KC3RFG here in Malvern. Thanks to Chuck for hosting this evening's workbench. Thank you, Chuck. I have not been very busy on the radio either, kind of like CR. I've been so busy with outdoor ice work as well, and had to cut up a few trees today. Back when it was really windy, when I was walking out front in the circle, driveway circle in front of the house, I heard some cracking sounds and found out that there was a dead tree that I didn't know was dead, and it was going to be aimed for where I parked one of the vehicles outside. So we got that dropped today, and we'll take our time cutting it up. Thank goodness it's dead actually, and we'll when we process it, it'll be ready to go into the wood stove. So that's the good thing about it. Don't have to wait to burn it. So that's about it. I've been outdoors almost all the time. So with that, I will pass it over to Mike, W3MFB from KC3RFG, Jim.
3RFQ, W3MFB in the group. Good to hear everybody, and thank you, Chuck, for driving the bus. And hey, Ron, I got a Hattie on my lap here, and I had to reach really carefully to grab the microphone. Got a kitty cat, about a year old here on the lap. Rescue from 322 right by Crickets on a 103-degree day last year. Anyway, gave points to folks during the 1010 contest, 10-meter radio contest this weekend. A lot of folks out there, great operators. Oh, there she goes. And yeah, had fun with that. The band was working pretty well, and heard a lot of European stations in the evening, and a lot of folks in the country and this side of the Americas during the day. So it was fun. So I'll pass it over to Bill, KC3OOK, W3MFB.
Bill, can I hold for a second?
Of course.
Station that was not able to get in because of the Intermod. At the moment, we don't have Intermod. Can you jump in here? I guess they gave up. Go ahead, Bill. KC3OOK, NA3CW.
Thanks, Chuck. NA3CW and KC3OOK. Well, not a lot of activity radio related for me this week, or directly related. I did host the roundtable on Thursday night. I think it was just last Thursday night. Lose track of time. That's always it's always fun, although it's a mix of nervousness and fun. But I do enjoy doing that. And other than that, I've just been working on the next phase for the ham shack, which is run the power in and put a sub-panel in there and start running the conduit and outlets. So, and that and lighting, and it's pretty much done. So I said I'd get it done in the spring. That was 3 springs ago, but maybe it will be this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Scott, W3KZG, KC3OOK.
Thanks, Bill. W3KZG. Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Chuck, for taking the workbench, and hope everybody's doing well. Ham radio this week. Been cold, so I kind of been hanging out in the shack doing a bunch of radio repairs on other radios and stuff that have been put off for many years. Now that I finally have my electronics repair bench back in order. And on Sunday, I ordered it Friday night. I keep all my ham radios in a rolling network rack. It's a network rack that sits on 4-caster wheels, and you can wheel it around. It's really convenient and nice and compact. Keeps everything in one place. Ran out of room, so I bought a taller one. It's a 30U, and if anybody knows network racks, they know what that is. It's a 30U rolling, self-standing network rack that's on casters to replace my smaller, older one. I got all my ham gear in it, and I absolutely love it. It's still got some spare space, which is always good for a ham, for a little bit of expansion, but it got that assembled on Sunday and got some stuff in it. Ordered a few more shelves and some other tchotchkes for it. I'm going to make a patch panel for coax and different antennas and different radios for it. But yeah, real happy with the way it turned out. Chuck, I did not catch who goes after me, so can you please facilitate that? This is W3KZG.
Very good, Scott. KA3GLI. Your turn, NA3CW.
All right. Thanks, Chuck and Scott. KA3GLI here. I finally started working on my un for the end-fed half-wave. And got that about 3/4 done, I suppose. And also spent some time reading the W1FB antenna notebook. And stopped by the New Holland Radio Shack today for the first time in a few years. So it was good getting back in there. And got a few odds and ends. That's about all, I guess. Also, just a general comment, I've just been amazed the last few weeks how long the snow's been sticking around. I can't remember the last time we've had snow last this long. I'm just finding myself re-amazed every day. So I think it's kind of neat for once. So let's see, I'll send it on down here. I believe it's Harvey, KC3NZT, KA3GLI.
Thank you very much. This is Harvey, KC3NZT in Malvern, Pennsylvania. My week in amateur radio was exciting for one reason only. I got my Galapagos Island contact. They finally confirmed. So that was, I was happy for that. Got that confirmation not via a card, it's just on QRZ. That's how I do most of my confirmations, QRZ and Logbook of the World. But it counts, and I like it. It's a small spot, and I got it, I don't know, a month ago, maybe more. But that was the only thing that happened of note. My antenna is still down. I took it down before Snowmageddon because I didn't want it to break the fishing line link. And I haven't gotten it back up yet because the snow is so icy. But it looks like this week is the thaw out. So I'll get that back up soon. But that's all I have. I'm over to John, WA3KFT. This is KC3NZT.
KC3NZT, WA3 King Fox Tango. Alrighty. Well, I've been playing with a recently acquired amplifier, an Ameritron AL80. AL80 Bravo. And kind of getting used to it and experimenting. I had it on 40 meters on Sunday, and the comments were, gee, got a nice signal. Well, I hope so. So, I drive it with an ICOM 7300, and I do have a full-size 40-meter dipole. So, the match is good, and we kind of go from there. So now I'm going to explore some of the other bands and what have you, that type of thing. Okay, over to Gene. Kilowatt Charlie 3, Hotel Queen Zulu, from WA3KFT.
Yeah, Gene was in and out. Go ahead, Leon.
All right, this is Alpha 3 Lima Hotel from the big city of Gobbler's Knob, the population too. Chuck, when you pull that bus out of the garage, I want to hit the down switch of the garage to make sure the bus doors are open so I can quickly run inside and not freeze. I don't want to run too fast and slip and fall on a sheet of ice in the parking lot. So we wanted to do this easy, but I'll be able to run right inside and get them doors shut. Man, it's cold. We got to tell. We're having 2 degrees or so tonight. But anyway, what I've been doing in ham radio is this. We played around 80 meters. I talked in the rooster's net again, which I'm not a rooster. I don't really hang on that one all that often. But I hang on, play with 80 meters up and down the bands. And this week I've been playing around 40 meters with a radio that I have. Playing around 40 meters, making contacts in the lower end of the band where the extra class portion is. It's all the further I got away from it. But that's what I did on ham radio. I am looking forward when the snow and ice melts to go ahead and do some antenna work, and maybe I'll get that done this coming week. At least get some of it done. One of my grandsons came and said, "Oh, help me work on them and do that," so my wife doesn't need to help. And that will put. If we don't have any questions, I do have a question I would like to ask, if that is the case. I believe I'm the tail gunner, got inside the bus. Thanks, Chuck. MFB, your coffee's very hot, man. Accommodations are great in this bus. Anyway, back to net control. NA3CW, AA3OH.
Wow, you're a hard station to follow, Leon, but yeah, we made it. The bus is safe. This is NA3CW. Do we have any other check-ins, any late check-ins to the workbench? Please call.
Kilo Delta 3 Echo Echo.
Okay, I got you, John, KD3EE. There was a station before. It sounded kind of like might have been mobile, but just weren't making it. Want to try it one more time?
Trying one more time. Kilowatt Bravo 3, Zulu India Mike. KB3ZIM, KB3ZIM, do you copy?
Got you that time, Bob. And do you have any questions?
Do not. I am motoring south on 283 in Elizabethtown. So I fired up the transceiver. I'm on my way home from my brother's in Harrisburg. Fired up the transceiver and heard, oh, that's right, it's Workbench. So I said, I wonder if I can make the Elizabethtown. see if I can get in there, and I can. So I have no questions, and I'll follow up, Chuck, with whatever you wish. Go ahead. I hope you copied that.
Yeah, I did, Bob. Quite a bit of chop, but 100% copy. And John, do you have any questions or comments for the net on your Week in Ham Radio? KD3EE, NA3CW.
Thanks, Chuck. This is KD3EE. I don't have any questions. Last week I reported some SWR trouble on my HF antenna that the tuner would handle. Turned out to be a connection issue at the window, so I didn't have to go too far. I did go out to the antenna and poke at things, but I found it was just a bad connector, so I fixed that. I now have another antenna, one of my 2-meter antennas that are pulled up into a tree. The J-pole is misbehaving, so my APRS radio was awfully quiet, that kind of clued me in. And I am on RF right now because I'm sitting in the parking lot on the east side of Lancaster after the Camera Club meeting. So I've got a clear shot from here. So back to net, KD3EE.
Very good, John, and solid copy all around. Okay, we will now turn to the questions and the answers. And so far I've got questions from Bill, KC3OK, and Leon. And we encourage all stations to make comments, observations, and/or share experiences, and don't assume your level of experience and knowledge isn't enough. We can all learn from each other and contribute to our discussion, so feel free to pick up the mic and have some fun. So, Mr. Bill, your turn. KC3OK, what is your question? NA3CW.
NA3CW, KC3OK. Well, my question is a small one and a very quick one, so thankfully Leon has a question. It's about tools for pot trimmers for adjusting potentiometers. I was looking online at Amazon, and I remember back in the day, my father's were actually different size. It was like hardwood dowels with screwdriver ends on them. But I noticed there's plastic, which I was familiar with, but there's also ceramic. So any big difference between one or the other if you're going to be buying these tools? Which should I go with? Is there any real difference between the two? So that's a real quick question. Back to you, Chuck. NA3CW, KC3OK.
Thanks, Bill. And as a follow-up, is it ceramic all the way to the tip, or is it ceramic with a metal end on it?
To tell you the truth, Chuck, it's really hard to tell just looking at the pictures on Amazon. They all seem to specify them as either plastic or ceramic. So I can try and look into that.
Well, very good. Does anybody have any words of advice or experience for Bill? Please call. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, John.
UA3KFT. My inkling is that a ceramic tool is probably for VHF, UHF. And also, a ceramic is not going to absorb any moisture either. Whereas, I'll say a fiberglass rod that could absorb some moisture and so forth. If it was plastic, then it's not going to absorb any moisture or anything. But that moisture would detune the circuit when you're poking that tool in. So that's the only thing I can think of in terms of different kinds of insulators for the alignment tool. WA3KFT.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
W3KZG.
Yes, Scott.
Missed the question, but I think he was talking about insulated tools to work inside radios. Is that what he was asking?
Go ahead, Bill.
Scott. I was specifically looking at the pot trimmer tools.
Okay, yeah. I have a set of just cheap plastic ones that I think I got off either Amazon or somewhere. I think there's 6 or 8 different ones in the kit, all different sizes and shapes, and then some of them actually have little metal flatheads in them for different size trimmers and pots, and I've never not found the one I needed in that little kit. I know some people prefer ceramic ones, but they can be kind of pricey. And these days, the radios come with so many variables of pots in them, different shapes and sizes, metal, plastic. So you need a decent selection of them. So I would recommend and you're not in there in your radios every day, so it's not like you need snap-on quality. And like I said, these ones have worked fine for me for years. So if I could find a link for them, I'll email it over to you. But it's just a set of 6 or 8 little plastic screwdrivers that are all different shapes and sizes for pretty much cover all the bases. Hope that helped. Back to you, Chuck.
Thank you, Scott. Any other comments and contributions? Okay, I'll make my comments. I have various plastic ones. I've never tried a ceramic one. If you're just doing pots, I haven't found anything more or less useful than a plastic tool with a little tiny fleck of stainless steel on the very end of it, and preferably one that kind of cups the adjusting screw. If it's like a trim pot, one of those totally enclosed ones with a little bitty screw head on the top. There's also larger ones that take screwdrivers and whatnot. Where the materials matter is, as John was saying, if you're poking around amongst variable capacitors, like trimmers with tuned circuits, there you can have capacitive effects and make things move when you're trying to line them up. Even if you did, it's no terrible thing to tweak it, pull it out, see where you ended up with, and tweak it again until you get it right. But on pots, I've never found anything, you can use anything from a tire iron down as long as it fits the screw properly. So, does that beat your question to death, Bill? KC30OK at A3CW.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you, John and Scott and Chuck. And I probably, Scott, if you see that, send it over to me. I was looking online, and yeah, the plastic ones in an assortment don't look too expensive. I did see, because I'm always leery of Amazon, everything's from China for the most part, but I did see one Vichet made, which is a name I recognize, but they were quite pricey. So that's enough. I said it was a quick question, so I appreciate it. Back to you, Chuck, NA3CW, KC30OK.
WA3VEE with a follow-up question.
Proceed, Brother Ron.
Brother Chuck, this is WA3VEE. I just learned something here. I had never heard, all the years I've been in electronics, 50-something or whatever, back from the 1800s, somebody said when everything was black and white and the world was flat. Sound familiar, Chuck? I just learned, I never knew there were ceramic trimmers. So my question is to the group, kind of interject a question here, care and feeding of these things. It seems to me that these are for tuned circuits and for high impedance circuits as well. One circuit I remember when I was at HP, I had designed a pulse stretching circuit, very, very high impedance. The only way you could look at anything in that circuit was a 10 meg scope probe. When you wave your hand over it, it changed. Characteristics were very, very dependent upon capacitance and everything else. Would these also be used in that? And if you're going to get into a circuit, would you have to take something like 90% isopropyl, and actually clean the tool before you went in there. So that's my follow-up. Help me further my education here. This is fascinating. Back to you, Chuck. NA3CW, WA3VEE.
I got nothing there because I don't like high impedance circuits any more than I have to. But yeah. So does anybody else have any experience with such things? Please call.
KZG.
Hey, Scott.
Not specifically that, Ron, but the plastic and ceramic trimmer tools is what we're talking about. I don't know if you confused that or not. Mainly, they're non-inductive and non-conductive because there are a lot of trimmer pots that if you stick a metal screwdriver down in them, they're open and they will actually short out the pot. So that's one of the reasons why they use plastic and or ceramic, because they're non-conductive. And you have to be careful because even some of the plastic screwdrivers have a metal like little tang in there to actually grab a hold of the trimmer. So you got to make sure that that tang is not going to go down inside the pot and short it out. And also not to be inductive, like Chuck said, with variable capacitors. Over to you, Bill. I'm sending you a link right now. It's on Amazon. They're made by GC Electronics. They're actually made in USA, Rockford, Illinois. I'm sending you the link right now, and it's a nice little package of, I think it's 6 or 8 little screwdrivers and a nice little package. And like I said, I've never run across a spot that there wasn't the right tool in that pouch. It's $28. It's not super expensive. So, yeah, I'm going to send it over to you. Back to you, Chuck.
Thank you, Scott. Any other comments before we send it back to Bill?
This is KN3I.
I was wondering about you. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just the GC Electronics, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's an old name. You know, I went to tech school back in the 70s, and I remember them, and so if they have a kit, it's probably really good. I would get that, just based on the name. I have several of their alignment tools here, and they're all great, so that's it. KN3I.
We hit the spot, Bill?
You did indeed. And always learn something here. And always learn, even when I think it's a simple question. Maybe it's not all that simple, but there's always learning involved. So I appreciate it, Chuck. Thanks a lot to all. Back to you, NA3CW, KC3OOK.
John, any follow-ups to your follow-up?
Something else there in that last one. Chuck, thanks for letting me interject that question there. That's very, very valuable. So, yeah, pushing a small plastic, I've got a drawer full of plastic ones up here, but yes, some of them have the blade on the end, and pushing it through, yes, definitely could short. So thanks for the advice on that as well. That's it. You guys did it for me too, and I appreciate the education. Always learning, definitely. Back to you, Chuck. NA3CW, WA3VE here with the group.
Thanks, gents. So, Leon, it's up to you. AA3LH, NA3CW.
All right. This is AA3LH. This is the time of the year I like to put my traveling antennas up, as I said before, and try and tweak them and make sure that everything is working before I go traveling. I'm not caught out there trying to set something up that just doesn't work just because a book said it does. But we have a G5RV up right now, and we're running 80 through 10 meters on that. It does well, actually, on 80 meters, being only 102 feet long. It does well on 40 meters. I was playing with that tonight, and it was working well. It doesn't do so good on 10 meters, but on the other hand, when I travel, I don't worry about 10 meters. I don't really do much on 10, or I've not in the past anyway. I was wondering if I would put 10 feet of wire on the end of each radio on the G5RV, it would make it 122 feet long. Will I need to go ahead and make my ladder lines longer to support that? That is the question. Back to net control, AA30H.
NA3CW. Interesting question. So if you extended it out to the full 80-meter half wave, in other words, how long is the window line that's on that?
37 feet long.
And then you go through some sort of balun or choke or whatever to coax?
Do one choke, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so does anybody have any comments for Leon? Please call NA3CW. I'm not hearing anything. So it would be a dipole with X number of feet of open wire to a 1-to-1 balun to coax. And how long is your coax?
About 25 feet.
Probably still okay. What you don't want is an electrical quarter wave or a combination of electrical quarter waves on a feed line, anybody's feed line, unless you're doing something specific, because the impedances can get all out of whack. But I guess without simulating it, I guess I don't have an opinion on that. I'm thinking you probably are okay. It's going to give you a lower, less capacitive driving impedance, which should be friendlier. So I'm going to go with you're probably okay. Any other comments from people?
Could the stating of the adjustable length, could that be restated for me? I don't know if I quite understood that. This is KC300 NZT.
Leon?
I have a G5RV antenna. It is 102 feet long. Each side is 51 feet long. And it has 37 feet of, listen, that's crappy brown stuff on for traveling. And then it's fed to a 1-to-1 choke balun. I'd say choke balun into somewhere around 25, 30 feet of LMR 400. And I would like to extend the radials from each side being 51 feet to about 61 feet each side, or 122 feet long. Do I have to change the length of my ladder line? Do I need to use a 4-to-1 balun? What do I need to do? It's a question. AA30H.
MS with a comment as well.
Hey, Joe.
Good evening, all. W3GMS. A little bit familiar with the G5RV. I've never used one, but friends have. And it's my understanding that for that given length, and with that length of feed open wire line or crappy brown stuff or whatever they use, that the impedance at the end of the ladder line is kind of around 50 ohms for most of the bands. So it presents a reasonable match
I've never heard of anybody using a 4-to-1 balun or anything like that. So, in thinking about it, if you're going to change the length of the antenna, the feed point impedance on the amateur bands are going to be different. And that's going to have a different reflected impedance as viewed at the end of the crappy brown stuff ladder line where the coax connects. So I don't think you need to do anything with the coax. I think if anything, you would need to trim either one way or the other the ladder line, and that's my high-level overview. So back to you, Chuck. W3GMS.
Thanks, Joe. Leon, I have a question. Why do you want to do that anyway? Because at that frequency, the main current is at the center of the antenna. It's a G5R feed, for those that aren't familiar with it, is a 3/2 waves on 20 meters, and that's really its design frequency. It just happens to be that you can use it on other bands as well with a tuner. The additional wire length, I don't think is going to buy you much, because the current's going to be in the middle of that band. And of course it would, as Joe said, it would detune the other bands. So I'm just wondering what you have in mind, Leon. NA3CW.
All right, 80 meters tunes really, really hard. But it does. Once you have it tuned, it works well. I can work the Midwest. I worked, oh my goodness, out west. Can't think of the country, Western Canada out there on it. It does well, but it tunes. And I thought if I put more wire in the sky, it might work better. If it's going to detune the other bands, I don't want to do that. That's where it's at. But I thought I could maybe improve on it a little bit.
Yeah, for temporary use, I mean, if you're in a position to take it down and clip something on, people have done that as well. Like put in an insulator and add your extra length and 1 or 2 insulators maybe to get a little bit better isolation off the end. And you can clip on some extra length, but if you can tune it, yeah, I could see where it would be cranky, but if you can tune it, I'd probably just leave it alone if I was concerned about the other bands.
EMS for the follow-up.
Joe?
Joe, that's what you use to clean your hands with. I totally agree with Chuck on this. And Leon, I would not do it because you're gonna mess up the other bands. And I know a lot of people that use a G5RV, and there's also if you do some internet research, there's also, they call it improved G5RV, where they tweak the length of the ladder line a little bit, and they tweak the length of the flat top portion a little bit. And I encourage you to do some research on that. But I don't think you would gain anything just as Chuck said, because your high current portion is still going to be in the center. And I don't think that extra length is going to buy you diddly squat. So that's my comment. Go ahead.
Leon.
That's just what I'm here. I'm here to learn. I just know somebody who did that, and for what he used it for, it appeared to work. How well it worked, I don't know. Maybe it would have worked better if he wouldn't have did that. But he put about 10 feet, 5 feet on each of the radials and put it up, and it seemed to work okay. So I thought it might do the same for me. But if it doesn't mess with it, I'm not going to mess with it.
To do is ask him what it did to the other bands when he did that. Anyway, okay. Well, I'm working on Luke's transmitter here, but I heard that, and I do have a little bit of familiarity from afar with that antenna. And there's a lot of excellent material online. but I don't think 10-foot Xer is going to buy you diddly squat. You got to be careful when people say it works better. You know, it's very, very subjective unless you're collecting data. I mean, hard scientific data. The perception and reality might be separated by many, many, many miles. 7-3, take care, guys. Good hearing everybody on W3GMS Clear.
According to him, it tunes easier. That's what I was concerned about. But I can use it the way it is, no problem. Thanks for your help.
But I hate to pick it up again, but if you want to go to a longer antenna, just put open wire line on it or ladder line from the top and all the way down to your tuner, and then you'll have a very efficient multi-band antenna that will outplay the G5RV on any day of the week.
Okay, maybe that's what'll work in the next few weeks when the thing warms up.
Well, I voted on that one with my feet and hands. I have an 80-meter inverted V fed with homemade open wire line for most of it. Last a couple of feet CBS as I go through the wall into the tuner. But that's the classic multiband antenna. If I had a choice, I don't really have a choice. If I had a choice, it wouldn't be an inverted V. It would be a flat top with open wire line. And that would give me much better performance in the high bands, I believe. But most of what I do is 80 and 40 and occasionally 20, and I'm thinking about doing a separate high-frequency antennas when this ice age is over. So one thing about higher frequencies with inverted Vs is it tends to have a very strong, straight-up component, which ain't what you want on 20 meters and up. So before we go for last words here, does anybody else have any questions or follow-ups? Please call NA3CW.
E3ZIM.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I'm a little closer now. When I first keyed up, I was in Elizabethtown. Good hike. But now I'm headed east on 30, and I don't know where I am. I'm certainly west of Parksburg by a bunch. West of Gap, actually, so I know I'm getting it way better now. Yeah, I was just curious. I said I had no questions, but I did have a comment, which is kind of a question to the group. Not technical in any way, shape, or form, but I was just wondering if anybody worked the AM rally this past weekend. I did. Some on Saturday and some on Sunday, not to, get points, although I did log everything and I'm going to submit a log. But I had, well over 30 contacts, and I had a ball. I had a blast. Actually, the first contacts I made AM mode were on 10 meters, and it was terrific. Then I got on 40 and stuff, and boy, it was a lot of fun, and there were some great round tables and everything going on, and so I was just curious if anybody bothered to do that, because I sure did. I was waiting for that AM rally weekend, and it was a hoot. I enjoyed it a lot. So anybody do that? KB3ZIM Mobile.
KN3I.
John?
Yeah, very good. I spent a few hours on that event, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was I think it was all on 40 meters in the afternoon. So didn't try all the other bands, but I opened my eyes to the possibility of doing that in the future. So it's a good time. KN3I.
Thanks, John. Anybody else?
A3VEE.
Ron.
Good, Chuck. A3CW WA3VEE. I worked a little bit at a 10-meter contest this weekend, but not very much. So it was very busy over here. But nonetheless, that was nice. So 28.4 right in the center of the tech class portion. And there was a lot of activity there. So at least a 10-meter, I wanted to get some press for that one. Back to you, Chuck, at A3CW WA3VEE.
3Z late. The late AF3Z. Yeah, I heard the photography session ended. How are you? How was your week? And do you have any questions?
Week has been good. Talking about the weekend, I don't know what things you were talking about, but the one was the FYBO, freeze your buns off, QRP thing. I listened, but I didn't hear any activity. Just one time I checked it out. But did a little bit of QRP stuff and some other things, and that's about it. So good evening, everybody. AF3Z.
Thanks for checking in. So before we close down the workbench for the evening, let's see if anybody else wants to check in. If you've been listening, just lurking around or just tuned in, we'd like to hear from you. Any other check-ins to add to our list of 18?
WCW, KC3NZT.
Harvey.
Before you do your check-ins, I have a diode question, but it may not be suitable enough to extend the workbench. If anybody's willing to hang around after the workbench, I'd love to ask it regarding testing, but I didn't think it was important enough to extend the workbench. So back over to you, Chuck. I just want to throw that out there while people are still present. KC3NZT.
Yeah, I got my phone ringing here. Thank you, Harvey. KC3NZT, NA3CW. Actually, I think that's probably a very good reason to extend the workbench while we got everybody here. And what can we do about diodes? Go ahead, Harvey.
Thank you for your indulgence. I don't want to hijack the workbench, so sorry in advance. My question, I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I had a circuit that was kicking my butt. I did get it. I had to do it a workaround way, but it made me question what I know about diodes. I had a circuit where there's a rectifier before a DC solenoid. It's fed with AC voltage. And what the problem I was running into is there was no easy way to test the resistance of the DC coil. And the reason is because my meter, a Fluke 87, was not able to beat the bias voltage required by the diode. So I'm having a hard time determining whether or not the coil was my intermittent fault or the diodes themselves were the intermittent fault. What I ended up doing to accomplish the goal was to measure the current. Once the AC voltage was applied, I measured the current and deduced the resistance of the coil when it did work. But when it was failed, I had no way really to test that. Now, the Fluke 87, it can test a diode in diode test mode, but what it gives me is just the bias breakaway voltage. But it didn't give me anything beyond that. So if you can't access what's beyond a diode, my question is how do diodes perform when they're on the fritz? What is the common failure mode of a diode? And is there any way other than just force feeding it a known voltage, which was difficult for me because it's AC fed, so I couldn't use like a DC lab supply, I don't think. Maybe I could have. But how is there a way to test that more effectively quicker than what I did? Because I don't know how diodes perform when they're on the fritz. What does that even mean? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm asking. So better methods of testing when there could be a bad diode blocking your ability to test resistance. KC3NZT.
It's a very interesting question. The best ones are the ones that you think are not a big deal. That's a very interesting question. So, do we have any responses for Harvey?
WA3VEE to get us started.
Okay, we'll go with Ron and then turn it over to John.
Chuck, NA3CW, WA3VEE. The common failure mode for diodes is usually short because what happens is the junction gets pierced, and that usually is due to high current or more commonly an over voltage. So John, take it from there, WA3KFT, WA3VEE.
WA3KFT. I've been around diodes for a long time, little ones and big power ones. The internal forward dropping resistance changes with current. So with a finite amount of current, you can sort diodes. But an ohm meter is just a go, no-go test. Not much of anything. But like I said, a diode changes resistance with the amount of current going through it. Now, most of my experience was with power diodes of 200 and 400 amperes, and they had a pigtail on them the size of your pinky. But like I said, the PN junction changes ohms with the amount of current going through it. So if you could isolate the diode and use a DC power supply or something like that, then you can check it. I'll say you can run DC through the diode to a known resistor and then use a high impedance voltmeter like a VTVM or something, or a TVM, and look at the voltage drop across the diode. WA3KFT.
3KZG.
Scott.
So, Harvey, in that use case, you would have to have removed the diode from the circuit to essentially be able to measure the resistance of that coil on that relay or solenoid or whatever it is. The diode is there because that coil, when it is energized and de-energized, can actually send off a high voltage spike, kind of like an ignition coil in a car does. Same principles. So that diode's there to shunt that high voltage spike, or stop it basically. It's like a wall, and keep that from going anywhere else. That's why the diode's there. But yeah, essentially you would have to remove that diode from the circuit to measure the resistance of that coil in that relay or solenoid. I can't remember which one it was. Either way, it doesn't matter, same thing. But yeah, you would have to physically lift one of the legs, then measure the resistance. The way you did it is a roundabout way, and I'm guessing you got the answer or information you were looking for, which is a great way as well. Back to you, Chuck.
Quick, Chuck. No, I didn't get the answer I needed. It's potted. It's potted, so there's no way to lift it. So yeah. So I'm going to end up just, I guess, replacing the whole thing. But that was the whole issue, is trying to figure out is it to figure out which one failed. Basically, was the guess, because it could be built externally. If it was just the diodes, for example. But I had no way of knowing. I couldn't figure out how to test it other than when it was intermittently bad, there was no current flow. When it was intermittently good, there was current flow. That was the only thing I had, and I couldn't figure out if there was another way to test.
NA3CW, I think you picked a very valid way to do it. It's all about current. If this thing, it's a potted assembly with the coil and the and the diode, and all you got is two leads, you can run the current through in one direction, measure the current, through a resistance, an external resistance to limit the current. Run the current in one direction, then flip polarity and run it the other way. And obviously you shouldn't get it going backwards, and you should get it going forward. And I don't think there's much more that you can do with it. The predominant failure mode for diodes is short. Not always, but I have on rare occasion, and I mean rare, found leaky diodes. But generally speaking, they're either dead or alive. If it was horribly shorted, I've seen them blown open to bits. But usually the way they go is shorted. So I think the running current through it one way and then running current backwards the other way, that will give you the resistance. I don't know about making the rest of whatever it's connected to performing, but if you can isolate at least one lead of this thing and do the current one way, then the other way. That's going to tell you anything you need to know, I think. Back to you, Harvey.
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, I don't know too much about, well, I guess first of all, I don't know what a leaky diode would be. Shorting as the failure mode would be ideal, because if that were the case, this thing has it's a rectifier. So it's more than one diode, but if they were, for example, shorted intermittently, well, the rectification could just be done externally, and then the expensive component is operational. If the coils are good and I can build the rectifier externally, Bob's your uncle. That's no big deal. But yeah, there was no way other than just AC current on the feed line. That was all I had to measure. So I mean, in the end, the component could be replaced. But it got me thinking about I don't know what the common failure modes of diodes are, or how they perform when they go completely kaput. So this is very helpful, knowing that commonly they are shorted. Shorted, I assume, means it's functioning like a straight wire. Please correct me if that's wrong. And I'm guessing leaky would just be it's not a hard stop in the reverse direction. So basically, also performing more like a straight wire. Can I just get a little clarification on that? Leaky and shorted, one is getting towards the other. They're both moving towards the direction of it's just a straight piece of wire. Is that correct?
Yes to all of the above.
Well, thank you very much. That was a pain, because when DC resistance was measured, it was in the high mega ohms, even when it was broken and when it was bad, or when it was working and when it was bad. So it was frustrating. And I don't even know of any AC power supplies that are benchtop. You can get those Chinese DC ones all day long, but to test to make sure it was working properly, I didn't have that at my disposal. So. I appreciate it, and thank you very much. Bit by bit, adding knowledge to the library there. So thank you very much. This is KC3NZT, and thank you for everyone for indulging me for a late workbench. Back to you, Chuck.
That's what this one's about. That's what the workbench is about. So do we have any other late check-ins to add to our list? Please call. All right, then, 18 it is. Thanks to all stations for checking into the 985 workbench, and a big thank you to Joe, W3GMS, for making this thing available to us, this 985 repeater. And you're invited to use the repeater often. It's a great way to show that you appreciate the gift of 985 to the amateur radio community. And finally, hope to hear you again on Thursday night at 8 p.m., where Luke, W3 SCY, will be hosting the roundtable. This concludes the workbench for the night. Feel free to stick around and chat, and have a good night and a great week ahead. 7-3, this is NA3CW Clear.